You won't believe the dumbest ways TV stars have lost everything. But what exactly did they do to throw it all away? Well, let's dive in. Heidi Montag and Spencer Pratt. The infamous reality show couple Heidi Montag and Spencer Pratt made enough money from The Hills and other appearances to keep them happy for years. They'd gathered a hefty $10 million fortune. Sadly, they weren't very clever with the ways they spent it. Rumor has it they were actually trying to blow it because they thought the world would end in 2012. That probably explains the $3,500 bottles of booze. They never filed for bankruptcy, but they did have to bring in a financial advisor when they realized they didn't have any of their $10 mil left. Our next TV star is easily recognizable, so her story will shock you. Number 20. Erin Moran. Erin Moran had made tons of cash before she left high school as a star of one of the biggest TV shows of all time, Happy Days. Sadly, Erin's happy days wouldn't last. When the show ended, so did her career. She never saw the same kind of success again, and her money quickly dried up. Sadly, at the time of her death, she was broke and reportedly homeless. She had even been kicked out of the trailer park she was living in. We don't know exactly how much money she lost, but you can bet it was a lot, with 255 episodes of Happy Days and a $1,000 check for each one. This isn't even the most tragic way someone lost money, as this next actor will prove. Number 19. Joey Lawrence. Joey Lawrence, known for his heartthrob role in the 90s sitcom Blossom, is a classic example of a TV star who hit a rough patch with finances. Joey's journey from sitcom stardom to financial hardship is both surprising and a bit eye-opening. Despite the success and fame, Lawrence found himself in hot water when it came to managing his money. So what went down? Well, Joey and his wife filed for bankruptcy in 2018, revealing they were deep in debt, with their liabilities listed at a staggering amount. The breakdown of their expenses showed some pretty high monthly costs, including hefty bills for groceries, clothes, and cars. It seemed like the Lawrence household was living a lifestyle that their bank account just couldn't support. The bankruptcy filings opened up a can of worms, showing that they were behind on taxes and had a bunch of credit card debt. Plus, their belongings, ranging from clothes to furniture, were valued at a fraction of what you'd expect from a former TV star. They even had to sell off some of their assets, like cars and clothes, to help cover their debts. This next star is easily recognizable, and you'll be shocked to learn how she lost her entire bank account. Number 18. Lena Headey. We all know the biggest show of the last decade was Game of Thrones, so you'll be surprised to see Lena Headey on this list. But Lena wasn't always the powerful Cersei Lannister. Before she took on the iconic role in Game of Thrones, she was already going through a divorce that didn't help her bank account at all. She was already worth about $5 mil at the time, but during the divorce, it was revealed that she had only $5 left in her bank account, and she had to use credit cards to buy food for herself and her 2-year-old son. Things are pretty different since she was cast in Game of Thrones. It's estimated that she made $30 million across the show's entire run. Things got even worse for this next entry, though. Number 17. Burt Reynolds. Burt Reynolds, a name synonymous with 70s and 80s Hollywood glam, had it all, from fame, fortune, and the kind of charm that kept audiences captivated. At the height of his career, Reynolds was sitting on a huge $60 million fortune that today would be worth around $150 mil. But here's where things went wrong for him. Reynolds, who's appeared in classics like Smoking the Bandit, spent a lavish lifestyle. However, his financial savvy didn't match his acting chops. A series of bad investments, particularly in restaurant chains, made him lose as much as $20 mil. His messy divorce from Lonnie Anderson turned his financial troubles from bad to worse. Despite once being Hollywood's golden boy, Reynolds found himself auctioning off iconic assets just to stay afloat. At least Reynolds lost his money by his own fault. This next entry got tricked out of her fortune by her own boyfriend. Number 16. Tia Carrera had only $300 left. Tia Carrera has had a pretty interesting career, but it wasn't always smooth sailing. Thanks to her role in General Hospital, she was making $150,000 a year at a really young age. Unfortunately, she had one big problem in her life, a terrible boyfriend who also happened to be her manager. When she attempted to get out of her contract on General Hospital, the court sided with the producers. Her boyfriend then took off with all her money. She was left with just $300, and she was forced to sleep in the hallway belonging to her modeling agent, who felt sorry for her. Luckily, Thankfully, she landed her iconic role in Wayne's World soon after, but this next TV star wasn't so lucky. Number 15. Farrah Abraham. Farrah Abraham rose to fame on MTV's Teen Mom. Known for her fiery personality and chaotic life events broadcast for the world to see, Farrah's journey from reality star to cautionary tale is shocking. Despite earning a substantial income from her time on Teen Mom, as well as from various entrepreneurial endeavors ranging from writing to the adult entertainment industry, Farrah found herself in a precarious financial situation. Her entry into the business world, including launching a frozen yogurt shop, a furniture store, and even a children's boutique, seemed like the moves of a savvy businesswoman, diversifying her portfolio. However, the reality was far from successful. These ventures quickly turned into financial sinkholes, with Farrah's establishments closing down one after the other, leading to significant losses. Adding to her financial woes, Farrah made headlines for legal troubles and settlements that further chipped away at her wealth. Her involvement in various lawsuits and legal disputes required hefty sums to settle, which worsened her financial instability. From the heights of television fame to the lows of financial distress, Farrah's story may be sad, but the next star lost everything due to his own parents. Number 14. Gary Coleman. Gary Coleman was one of the most loved child actors of all time for his role as Arnold in Different Strokes. But his adult life wasn't as easy. He had gathered a fortune off his acting, and it was all being put in a trust fund which he could access when he turned 17. By that time, there was supposed to be $18 million in the account, but Coleman realized there was only $220,000 left when he tried to access the money he'd earned. It turned out his adopted parents had been slowly draining the account over the years. He filed for bankruptcy in 1999, claiming he was $72,000 in debt, partly due to health issues. What would you do if your parents spent your hard-earned millions? Let us know in the comments, and keep watching to find out who took our number 1 spot. This next star is an icon today, but many don't know his tragic financial losses. Number 13. Larry King. Larry King is an icon, so it's hard to believe he nearly lost his career. He'd made a name for himself in the 1960s, but in 1971, his business partner suddenly accused him of stealing $5,000. The charges were dropped, but he was essentially blacklisted. Without being able to work in journalism for 4 years, he suffered financially and eventually went bankrupt. He was about $350,000 in debt at the time. It's great that he was eventually allowed to start working again, though, but this next star wasn't able to get back on his feet so quickly. Number 12. Drake Bell. People of a certain age will probably remember the Nickelodeon show Drake and Josh. Well, the Drake half of the show was Drake Bell, and as you'd guess, the show brought a lot of success his way. But it didn't last. In 2014, Drake filed for bankruptcy. He was apparently just under $600,000 in debt. Sadly, he lost his $2 million house as a result. Sadly for Drake, that's not the worst mistake he's made in recent years. He rebranded as a Latin singer, but his reputation had taken a beating. Our next entry fell into even more staggering debt due to bad financial decisions. Number 11. Dorit and PK Kemsley. A part of the glamorous world of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills was Dorit and PK Kemsley. With their lavish lifestyle and high-profile social circles, it's hard to imagine this power couple struggling with money issues. Yet beneath the surface of designer outfits and extravagant parties, the Kemsleys' financial reality tells a story of shocking debt and fiscal mismanagement that could rival any primetime drama. PK, a notable figure in the entertainment and real estate sectors, found himself stuck in a web of financial difficulties, including a staggering $1.2 million casino debt and multiple lawsuits alleging unpaid loans totaling millions. These legal battles cast a shadow over their opulent image and exposed the shaky foundation of their wealth. Dorit, known for her fashion line and persona on RHOBH, faced her own share of financial controversies, including accusations of owing substantial amounts to a former business partner. The Kemsleys' lifestyle, marked by their residence in a lavish Beverly Hills mansion and a taste for luxury, was about to collapse with the mounting evidence of their financial instability. Thought this fall from grace was sad? Look at the next popular TV star who fell into the debt trap. Number 10. Don Johnson. As the star of Miami Vice and Nash Bridges, Don Johnson is one of the biggest stars ever to hit TV, but he still managed to go broke. He was so in debt that he nearly lost his 17-acre Colorado ranch when he was sued by City National Bank. They claimed he owed $930,000 to more businesses than you can count, including $5,000 owed to a spa and an infamous bill for groceries totaling nearly $5,800. It was so bad that the Woody Creek Tavern near Johnson's ranch put out a tip jar for anyone who wanted to help bail him out. Lucky for him, he's since paid his debt in full, and just in time to keep his ranch as well. Similarly, this next star went through a bad financial slump, but eventually bounced back. Number 9. Sherman Hemsley. Sherman Hemsley made a name for himself on the Jeffersons, but in 1999, his bank account didn't reflect his success. He was in pretty big trouble too. When filing for bankruptcy, he revealed that he was over $1 million in debt. Some of that was for unpaid taxes, which added up to $15,500. But the biggest problem was a loan that he couldn't repay. With interest, he owed a whopping $995,000 on that loan. Luckily, he bounced back later in his career. Things didn't turn out so well for our next iconic TV star. Number 8. Tori Spelling. Tori Spelling, once the darling of the iconic 90s series Beverly Hills 90210, has had a roller coaster ride when it comes to fame and finances. Despite being born into Hollywood royalty, with her father, Aaron Spelling, being one of the most successful TV producers, Tori's financial journey has been anything but smooth. After 90210 wrapped up, you'd think Tori would have made it, right? Well, not exactly. It turns out that Tori's lavish lifestyle and a series of not-so-great financial decisions led her down a path of monetary mishaps. From spending on extravagant parties to costly shopping sprees, Tori's spending was, frankly, out of control. And it wasn't just the spending. Tori and her husband, Dean McDermott, faced a series of legal and financial challenges, including lawsuits over unpaid bills and bank loans. But here's where it gets even more surprising. Despite her upbringing in a mansion that could pass for a small palace, Tori found herself in a situation that no one could have predicted, living in an RV with her 5 kids. Yep, you heard that right. Tori's tale is a real-life lesson in how quickly things can change when you're not keeping an eye on your finances. Tori is a more modern example of a TV star who lost everything, but this next one is a more classic example, showing that stars have been wasting money forever. Number 7. Gary Busey. Younger people will find this hard to believe, but Gary Busey was once one of the best film actors in America. Unfortunately, in 1988, he was involved in a very serious motorbike accident. It was so bad that he died, but while doctors managed to bring him back to life, he still suffers from permanent brain damage. Always wear a helmet, kids. As you can imagine, this affected his career in a big way. He wasn't getting any big roles anymore, which obviously affected his bank account. But his brain injury also caused money problems for him because he's not capable of making rational decisions since the accident. When he filed for bankruptcy in 2012, he was $1 million in debt. This next name is probably one of the most famous names on this list, but her debt will knock you off your feet. Number 6. Pamela Anderson. There's no doubt Pamela Anderson became an icon thanks to that red swimsuit in Baywatch. At the height of her fame, she was earning an incredible salary of $6.6 million per year. The trouble started when she bought a house in Malibu worth nearly $2 million, but decided she didn't like it and knocked it down to build another house worth $8 million. She couldn't quite pay the builders, had tax troubles, and eventually had to file for bankruptcy and move into a trailer park. She was $1 million in debt at the time, but she bounced back and now has a net worth of about $20 million. Surprised to see Pamela Anderson on this list? The names coming up are even more surprising, and the debt is even bigger. Number 5. Lorraine Bracco. Not many actors get to make their debut in a Scorsese masterwork, but Lorraine Bracco was brilliant enough to do just that. Sadly, despite her incredible career, she found herself in a nasty 6-year-long custody battle with another acting legend, Harvey Keitel. The legal fees cost her big time. In 1999, she filed for bankruptcy, claiming she was $4 million in debt. Lucky for her, that was also the year she landed her role in The Sopranos, so it didn't take her too long to bounce back from that huge debt. Our next entry isn't a stranger to financial scandal either. Number 4. Isaac Hayes. Isaac Hayes was easily one of the most celebrated soul singers of all time, but that didn't save him from bankruptcy. It wasn't entirely his fault. He was caught up in a complicated debt scandal with Stax Records. They couldn't afford to pay Hayes his royalties after the tragic death of Otis Redding. He left the company and formed his own record label, but couldn't replicate the success from earlier in his career. He was eventually forced to file for bankruptcy, claiming he was $6 million in debt. Hopefully, he made some of that eye-watering debt back with his iconic role as Chef in South Park. Prepare to learn about an even greater debt that a well-known TV star owed. Number 3. Sonia Morgan. When it comes to tales of fortune lost in the blink of an eye, Sonia Morgan's story is as bewildering as they come. Known for her glamorous lifestyle and sparkling presence on The Real Housewives of New York City, Sonia's fall from financial grace is a reminder of how quickly things can change. The turning point came in 2010 when she filed for bankruptcy with a staggering $19.8 million in debt and a mere $13.5 million in assets. This jaw-dropping financial plummet was largely due to a failed movie venture that never saw the light of day, a venture that not only promised great returns, but also led to her being sued for a whopping $7 million for failing to meet the contractual obligations. But the financial woes didn't stop there. The situation was made worse by her divorce from John Adams Morgan, heir to the JP Morgan fortune. Amidst the chaos, Sonia faced the grim reality of potentially losing her beloved New York City townhouse. The ordeal was a humbling experience, showcasing the unpredictability of life and the fickle nature of fortune. Yet in true Sonia Morgan fashion, she's shown resilience and an indomitable spirit, slowly clawing her way back from the brink. Sonia isn't the only Real Housewives star who's fallen from financial grace, as our next entry shows. Number 2. Teresa Giudice. Real Housewives of New Jersey star Teresa Giudice made a fortune appearing in that show. Unfortunately, she didn't have as much money as she seemed to think. Sports cars, fancy parties, and too many high-end shopping sprees burned through her cash, and then even more cash that she didn't have. Somehow, she spent so much that she found herself $12 million in debt. You don't need exercise if you're doing that much shopping. And finally, the person who took our number 1 spot is… Number 1. Donald Trump. These days, Donald Trump is more well-known for being an ex-president than for his TV work. But cast your mind back to when he was the star of The Apprentice. On that show, he claimed to be one of the most successful businessmen ever. But that wasn't exactly true. Trump has never filed for personal bankruptcy, and that's because he avoids it by filing for bankruptcy on behalf of his businesses instead. And it's becoming a habit. He's done it 6 times already, claiming a heart-stopping $1 billion in debt. These TV stars lost their entire fortune in the dumbest ways. They went from the top of the world to financial ruin in an instant. Many times, celebrities make financial choices that make us shake our heads. Here are the dumbest ways in which rappers went broke.